Ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, and welcome to a very special edition of Sports Talk Philadelphia here on LaSalle TV. We have our Christmas special for you today. It's our last show before our Christmas break here at LaSalle. So we have a very special show lined up for you today. We'll get to that in a minute, but let me introduce my panel. Tyler Harper today and Mark Wilson, some Sports Talk guys that are always on the show. So we will dive right in. This week we're going to go with a naughty and nice theme for Philadelphia sports. So guys, let's get right into it. We have 5 of each. Our first person on the naughty list for Philadelphia sports this year is Jonathan Papelbon. Papelbon, closer for the Phillies, obviously. Guys, what did he do that put him on the naughty list?
Well, he had a good start to the season. I believe his first 13 of 13 saves, he was perfect in opportunities. But then it all just kind of crashed down on him. For whatever reason, he lost velocity on his fastball. He was tipping his pitches, basically, and every hitter could see it. And he ended up blowing 7 saves. He got 29 saves overall. But then he got his mouth involved as well. We knew he had a bit of an attitude, but with comments saying, like, towards the trade deadline, the team needs to work on their fundamentals behind me. And then towards the end of the season saying he didn't sign up for this. Yes, you did. You signed the dotted line. You signed the 4-year deal. You have 2 years left. So if you don't like it, unless you get your trade stock up and get traded this summer at the deadline, guess what? Get comfortable.
Yeah, basically the same thing. If you're not going to perform, then you can't run your mouth. And at least at Tyler said, he had this great saves beginning of the year, went perfect. Then it started to drop off. He started tipping his pitches, and it kind of became scary for Phillies fans, especially myself watching it. When it became, all right, well here comes Papelbon. Let's hope we have a big enough lead. And when you're coming in the 9th inning to your closer, those shouldn't be the questions you're asking yourself. Back with Billy Wagner, we're asking ourselves, how many 100-mile-an-hour fastballs are we going to see in this? Now we're asking, is he going to blow the save? And then going back to the locker room afterwards, running his mouth, it's not good. So bad.
Now, guys, is there any way that he can get himself onto the nice list and kind of stay? Is he going to stay in Philadelphia? What's his tenure here in this town?
Well, he does have 2 more years left on his deal. So if he wants out and he really doesn't want to be here, he's just got to put it on himself to get his trade value up. So that way, if the Phillies perform where people think they're going to be next year, they're going to need to trade away some pieces. And if he's a reliable, at least 8th inning piece, he could get traded to a contender next season if he really wants to be out of the city.
Yeah, he's really going to have to get his stuff better. And like I said, basically it's 2 years. Even if the Phillies decide to trade him or give his free agency, he needs to improve himself this year and take it into the following year. It's one thing to come back after having a poor season and really exert yourself, but having a second follow-up season will really put his value up and get him the money he wants and get him to the team where he wants to be and win a World Series.
Yeah, we've seen it with him in Boston that he has the ability to be that dominant closer that can close out games. But we'll see if he can get himself onto our nice list, which our number 5 on the nice list, a new addition to the city of Philadelphia, is Michael Carter-Williams, point guard for the Sixers. Has had a great start to the year. Guys, what have you seen from Michael?
He's been fantastic. 17.7 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, 7.3 assists. It's funny that at the beginning of the Sixers season, you heard phrases such as Tankadelphia, winless for Wiggins on Twitter. But then opening night, this young Sixers team came out, and what did they do? They beat the defending champion Miami Heat. And Michael Carter-Williams just looked impressive, and he's looked nothing but impressive ever since. He had a bit of a rough patch, but then just this past week, he came out and put up a triple-double. So he looks very good right now for this team. Only rookie, along with Shaquille O'Neal, to ever win Rookie of the Week, Player of the Week, in his first week ever in the league. So MCW, maybe he is the piece that the Sixers need to build around for the future.
Yeah, I agree. They have that slogan going, building for tomorrow, building for the future. And MCW is going to be that guy. He's really come out. He's really put up great points for them. Hit at least 20 points a few times this season. And he's just really working magic with his team that, it's a very, very young team, rather experienced, and he's coming in and proving that the Sixers aren't going to be a joke this year. They're going to be someone you have to watch out for. Still don't think they're going to make playoff contention, but Carter Williams is going to keep them in it, floating around that 8 spot.
And he was just named Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month this past week. So, guys, what does he have to do to keep himself on this list and kind of not transition over to where Papelbon is on the naughty list?
Well, he's just got to keep this mindset that he has right now. Seeing his interviews and stuff, it doesn't seem like he's taking anything for granted. He knows the situation with this young core. He's working with it. And he knows that this is a team that's building for the future. So he and Coach Brett Brown, they know they're just taking it one game at a time. They know there's going to be some rough games, but they know there's going to be some good games too. So if he can keep this team motivated, maybe become more of a leader in a couple of years, and if they build well through the draft, this could be a dominant team for years to come. He's
definitely have to stay humble. And say that, coming into the league, being rookie of the month rather, and putting up these stellar numbers for this team, that's supposed to be tanking, and really getting a lot of attention, not only in the city, but nationally for the Sixers. It's going to be a huge, huge part for him. And, if he keeps himself humble on the ground, keeps his head, keeps grinding away at it, he's definitely going to be big.
All right, we'll see if Michael Carter-Williams can continue his rise to stardom here in the city of Philadelphia. We'll switch back to the naughty list. Our number 4, Paul Holmgren of the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, fellas, what has he done to get himself on this list other than kind of denying the obvious?
Well, with this team, he didn't make much moves, if any. He made some moves, but they weren't really these bold moves that people were thinking that he should make. So a lot of people were nervous about this team coming in. And for a while, it looked like the Flyers weren't going to be all that great this year. They're on a bit of an upstretch now, but really when it was the darkest night for this team, I was there the night of the line brawl with the Caps. After the Caps' 5th, 6th goal, you started hearing fans clearly, chanting, "Fire Homer, fire Homer." And the beat writers to my left and right just said, "Wow, we've never heard this before." So, of course, afterwards, he came down. He met with the team during the second intermission, met with the media after the game. But then after that, they had a turnaround. So he's still tentatively on this list for now. He's not out of the woods yet. I don't think if the team doesn't make the playoffs, I don't think he'll be around this offseason. But for now he is unfortunately on the naughty list, number 4.
One of the big things why he's on the naughty list for me is because he fired Laviolette 3 games into the season. That's just not, as GM, you shouldn't be doing that. It's not good managing of the organization, not good managing of your resources and your coaches. You're going to put your entire team and your organization through these preseasons and these off-season training camps and everything, only to go to your coach 3 games in the season and say you're gone. What does that prove to, what does that show to your players, what does it show to your fans, and what is that going to show to the league? It's going to show that you're uncertain with what's going on. You're not happy. And for the team to have your coach fired 3 games into the season is just going to be a huge knock to their confidence. So, bad on Paul Holmgren.
Well, I think that's pressure from Ed Snyder, too, from up top. He puts a lot of pressure on his GMs. Of course, when Holmgren signed Brizgalov a couple years ago, claiming that this has to be the goalie of the future, and of course, we all know how that turned out. So, nevertheless, I think, not that that's any real excuse, but nevertheless, I do think that playing devil's advocate, that definitely influenced that decision of firing Lavi 3 games in.
And we saw that Peter Luukko resigned unexpectedly this past week. So the Flyers organization kind of in a little bit of disarray, and that's why we picked out Holmgren, because he's in charge of the players who are on the ice who haven't been performing to their expectations this year. But we will move on to the nice list. Our number 4 on the nice list is none other than LaShawn McCoy of the Philadelphia Eagles. Running back has led the league this year in rushing. Guys, take me through LaShawn.
Well, he's one of, if not the best running backs in the NFL. And if he didn't have that little kind of tough stretch towards the middle of this season that he had, he'd probably be way higher on this list. But he's at number 4. And, 1,088 yards, leading rusher, 5 touchdowns. But that's okay because him and Chip Kelly's system are basically a match made in heaven. He knows that system is focused on him, and he knows that he's going to get the opportunities to get those high rushing games that Andy Reid's system wouldn't let him have. So if he just takes that and runs with it, even though he only has 5 touchdowns, he's not worried. He knows he'll get his yardage, and he knows that he will be there to help his team win.
He's really confident showing on the field. And he said he's putting up great numbers, great yards, and he's making something out of nothing. We've seen a lot of times where he's been stuck in the backfield about 3 or 4 yards, and he makes a couple moves, and now it's a 10, 15-yard gain of first down. McCoy's been absolutely ridiculous with his footwork this year. I mean, all of us, and speak for everyone in the city, when you say, we're like, there's just no words to explain him because he gets hit, loses him down, he spins, and he picks up these big yards and makes a play on nothing. And he just gives the Eagles offense a huge boost and a huge enthusiasm. So that's definitely reason to be on the nice list.
Now, is there a chance he could move up on this nice list depending on how it goes the last couple of games of the season for the Eagles?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, if it wasn't for that rough patch for those couple games in the middle of the season, he probably would be higher on this list. He'd probably overtake our number 3 easily. But nevertheless, you know what you're going to get from Shady. You know he has that work ethic. Of course, a couple weeks ago before the Washington game, we saw how passionate he was. He going over to the Redskins fans, ripping down their banner, getting in their face before the game because he and the rest of the team really wanted that home win, and they got it. And they got one this past week against the Cardinals. So I think Shady's focus is back on track, and now that the stats are showing that as well, I think there's nowhere to go but up for LeSean McCoy.
Yeah, definitely. He's going nowhere but up. He keeps his numbers going. And it's going to be really important as they're going to lean on him more, especially if they come up as they're in the race for winning the NFC East. And what's really going to come down to is how he performs, I feel like, in that game against Dallas at the end of the season. Last game of the year, Week 17. If he puts up good numbers there and he works real hard, Eagles are going to go to the playoffs. I think with him, he's definitely going to be one of the workhorses, one of the leaders on this team that can take the Eagles to the playoffs.
All right, we'll move on to our naughty list. Speaking of workhorses, the exact opposite. Andrew Bynum is our number 3 on the naughty list, now playing for Cleveland, of course, but spent time in Philadelphia. Never played a game in a Sixers uniform. Was supposed to be the franchise player that they're going to build around. Why is he on the naughty list, Tyler?
Why isn't he on the naughty list? From everything from when he was here, like the bowling incident that prolonged his injury, of course, the salsa dancing, wherever it was, Spain, whatever the case may have been, to going to Cleveland, saying he's excited to play for a tough basketball city. And then even after being on the court or with the Cleveland Cavaliers, hearing the Bynum sucks chant rain down, having the audacity to come out and say after the game, oh yeah, it was weak, even though he had to kind of take it a little bit as they lost. So really just throwing it in the face of this city, basically saying, without actually saying it, of course, just going out and saying, I just robbed you guys blind.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play one game in Sixers uniform, so therefore he put up no stats, no good numbers, nothing at all. And then did nothing but really run his mouth, I feel like, here in Philly. Yeah, he complained towards the end of it, and he just didn't see that he wanted to play here. You can't sign somewhere and just be like, it's just for the money. I don't want to be here. And that really hurt the Sixers as the teammates were looking for him to come in and be that big center. The whole organization in the city was really looking to lean on him to get this program going again and bring him back to some form of respect in the NBA, and he just didn't do that. So he's just turned his back on everyone.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be one of the bigger moves from Adam Aaron when he took over the team, and it kind of flopped. Would you say this is the biggest misfire in free agent signing history, would you say, Tyler? In Philadelphia, of course.
It would definitely come close, absolutely. And you should feel at least somewhat privileged in this situation because you and Dave were two of the only people who ever saw Andrew Bynum in a Sixers uniform.
Yeah, media day.
And even you guys said then that he didn't really even try to connect with his teammates. He was kind of off on an island by himself, and whoever wanted to hold a microphone in front of him. So I mean, as far as biggest misfires in Philly transaction history, this definitely has to be up there. Yeah,
you can't say that it's not a misfire if you pay this guy millions of dollars and he doesn't play 1 second on the court for you, doesn't play in any game, and then goes and runs his mouth. He couldn't even have been they're a good organization. They really helped me get back into playing form, which allowed him to go and play for Cleveland. He just trashed the organization, didn't have anything really nice to say, and just walks away with a fat check in his hand.
Well, there it is. Andrew Bynum, the city of Philadelphia probably hates him, but we're glad he's gone. We'll move on to a nice list, a little more pleasant. Number 3, we have Steve Mason of the Philadelphia Flyers, goaltender. We could also put Ray Emery up here. They've both been playing very well. What's been going well for them?
Well, they've signed both Steve Mason and Ray Emery to 1-year deals, thinking, as I've said before on the show, that they'd be a nice little tandem to complement each other. But the way Steve Mason has played has been very, very, very impressive. A 10-8-2 record, But that is very, very misleading. A lot of those losses, his defense let him down, especially early in the season. He's been, honestly, the only word I could really say to describe him is he's been a stud. If there was an all-star game this season, there isn't because of the Olympic break, he'd probably be like front runner for Eastern Conference or whatever system they use to run the all-star game now. But he's been that good. This past week in a shootout against Nashville, he made some very key saves, and I believe it was Les Bowen who tweeted that Steve Mason should have been first, second, and third star, and I completely agreed with him, like that he played that good, and he really has been playing that good for the Flyers this season.
Yeah, he's been consistent, which is what the Flyers really needed. Now, previous years, they had good goalies. Gallup was good for a little bit, and then would fall off. And that's something the Flyers really lacked, was a consistent goalie who is always going out there and keeping the Flyers in the game. And that's what Steve Mason has given to the Flyers. He's made some phenomenal saves, even though his record doesn't necessarily show it, the 10-8-2. But he's been there. When the defense has been lacking, he's been picking it up for them. So Steve Mason definitely deserves to be on this nice list, and it's finally good to see have a good goalie and between the polls for Flyers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with everything that happened with Ilya Bryzgalov last year. How key has the goaltending been to the Flyers kind of turning it around, getting over the franchise worst start to kind of be in playoff position right now?
It's been huge. And the thing with Steve Mason is, there was an article, I believe in the Daily News a couple weeks ago, where he talked about his strategy. He takes everything step by step. He does not think ahead at all. He thinks in the game, he thinks minute by minute, period by period, and then he just goes on from there. Even in practice, like when he's taking shots, even just like lighthearted, like warm-up shots from his teammates, he's thinking shot by shot. He's not thinking big picture, because he said in Columbus that's what helped lead to his downfall. He was Rookie of the Year, and then he kind of fell off because he was thinking too big picture. But now he's back to this mind frame of one step at a time, one shot at a time, and it's been huge for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's been absolutely phenomenal. He has to keep it up, though. It's good, though. He's doing well.
All right, we'll go from Steve Mason to a guy who hasn't done anything good probably ever since he was at Virginia Tech for a little bit. Number 2 on our naughty list, Marcus Vick, not Michael, his brother Marcus. He is a Twitter fanatic, to put it lightly. Now, guys, what's wrong with him?
The fact that he feels the need to be his brother's mouthpiece, plain and simple, when his brother doesn't think like that at all. This started last season. The game against New Orleans was really when it took off. And after the game, Mike Vick was asked about it in his press conference. He's just like, wait, he said what? So the fact that he still continues to run his mouth, and now that Nick Foles is having his success, he kind of shied off. And I believe I saw last week he even complimented Nick Foles on Twitter.
He did.
So I guess he's having a change of heart. I don't know. But a real compliment to this is something that really could have put Michael on the nice list, is the fact that how mature he's been handling this situation. He's been handling this situation with flying colors. When they were still competing for a job, they had the joint press conference, I believe it was before the Dallas game, where Mike said that I'm injured, but Nick will come in and do this press conference with me as he's the starter. And
that was weird.
It was weird,
so weird.
But nevertheless, you could tell they get along. You could tell there's no controversy at all. If it's hurting Mike's ego that he's not starting, at least he's not showing it. But back to Marcus, yeah, he deserves to be on this list.
Yeah, I feel like we see sometimes we'll see family members speak out in favor of their famous relatives, but Marcus Vick just takes it to a whole nother level, just being blatantly obvious with it, going on Twitter, calling people out, and it makes Mike Vick look bad. You kind of have to keep your relatives in check, and I know it really shouldn't be your job as an adult, but Marcus Vick just runs his mouth a whole lot. Like Tyler said, now that Foles is putting up great numbers and really, doing much better than Vick did. Marcus Vick has, been quieter about it, but it's not cool to run your mouth, especially when you're not an NFL player. 1, 2, haven't been an NFC player, offensive player of the month, offensive player of the week numerous times. You're just like another fan just running your mouth, calling somebody out.
Do you guys see it being as big of an issue as the media kind of overplayed it a lot, but how big of an issue is it that that Michael couldn't kind of control his brother, what he's saying? I know they're business partners too, which is a big part of that. So they have the MV5.com or whatever it is. How big of an issue is that?
It kind of varies because, the media did make this a little bigger than it should have been. But in the same token, Michael shouldn't have to rein in his brother about like how to act on social media, the language and how much to go after fans who were rattling his cage a little bit too. But nevertheless, that shouldn't be Michael's job. Like you said earlier, Marcus Vick is an adult. He really should act like it on social media.
Yeah, this could definitely be a big issue that could definitely explode. I mean, right now it just looks like it's just kind of eventually fade away unless Foles starts to tank it, at which point Marcus Vick will definitely probably open his mouth back up and start all over the Twitter sphere. But no, if that happens, whole thing could just get enormous, could blow up in Chip Kelly's face and the whole Eagles organization. Because it's going to be bad having your first starting quarterback's brother talking smack on your other starting quarterback who did so well for you.
And speaking of the Eagles organization, we will move on to our number 2 on the nice list. It is Chip Kelly, new head coach for the Eagles, doing really great as in his first year. Guys, explain to why he's so nice this year.
We were all anxious for the Chip Kelly era to begin. Of course, we heard Andy Reid was fired. We all knew that was going to happen after 4-12. Then we heard that Chip Kelly was going to be in, and everyone was abuzz. What's this offense going to do? How's it going to work? And then we saw the Washington game where they just went off seemingly without a hitch. They hit a dry spell for a little bit, but nevertheless, Chip Kelly has gotten this team on a hot streak at the right time, similar to when the Giants got on their hot streak a few years ago to win the Super Bowl, and same in with the Packers in 2010, 2011. Not that I'm saying the Eagles are going to be Super Bowl bound or anything like that, but they're definitely getting hot at the right time, and it's all thanks to the mad genius, Chip Kelly.
Yeah, well, first off, obviously Chip Kelly's a better record than Andy Reid, but he's doing with basically the same personnel as he had last year. You still have Vic, you had Foles, Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy. So the offense is basically the same players. The offensive line isn't injured as much this year, but he's still working with the same pieces basically, and they come out and have a much better season than Andy Reid did. So that's really impressive for him. However, he doesn't have Jeremy Maclin either. Reid had him last year, was unable to really use him. Chip Kelly comes in and doesn't have the number 2 receiver on the team, but still able to win and do really, really well.
And we'll see if Chip can keep it up and win the NFC East in his first year as a professional coach. We'll head across the street to the Philadelphia Phillies. Ruben Amaro Jr. is our number 1 on the naughty list. And guys, it's pretty self-explanatory why, but take me through it.
Yeah, this was no surprise to anyone, especially if you've been watching this show the past few weeks. Of course, we had a nice little graphic that said, should Ruben Amaro be fired, with fire in behind him. Anyway, this team has steadily declined from 2009 in the National League Championship, but now it's just getting ridiculous. Signing overpriced, the older veterans to play in your spots where you really should have younger talent flourishing. Just confusing move after confusing move. I'll say this: if the Phillies are no higher than 3rd in the NL East come the All-Star break, I think Ruben's gone. I think he has to be.
Yeah, I agree with him. Ruben Amaro hasn't had any really good moves, any real major moves to bring anybody new in, any real big talent, and he's still signing really older guys. I know 35 doesn't sound that old, but in Major League Baseball and professional sports, that's old. Mm-hmm. And he's not going young, and he's traded away a lot of the talented players in the Phillies farm system, and he hasn't replenished that. The guys he's gotten, he's kind of traded away for these other guys. They traded a lot away for Roy Halladay, and Halladay was good. It worked out. But there's no one there to replace him. So Ruben Amaro is making all these signings, but signing for a lot of money. They need to get someone, I feel like, and just trade him away. I think we'll see Papelbon go this year. I think Ruben Amaro is going to try to make a last-ditch effort. If Papelbon isn't doing well, Papelbon's going to go, and hopefully Ruben Amaro does the right thing and gets some good young talent.
All right, and speaking of young talent, the number 1 on our nice list is none other than Napoleon Dynamite himself, Nick Foles, quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Guys, quickly, what has he been doing so well this year?
He's been staying consistent. Of course, he had that 7-touchdown game in Oakland, which kind of skewed him a little bit, and had that off game in Dallas. But other than that, he has been exactly what the Eagles had hoped he would be. It says a lot this past week against Arizona when you play kind of an off game and still have a quarterback rating of 112. He's still been consistent. He's still been able to find his receivers, and he's still been able to produce results and get the Eagles successful. Yeah,
he has 19 touchdowns and no interceptions, so he's right behind Peyton Manning for the season record for most touchdowns before throwing an interception. But one thing Foles has done, we haven't seen in recent years with Vic, is that he's a real pocket quarterback. He's able to get out and scramble and make the yards when he needs to, but he stays in the pocket and makes those passes. Vic, you look at 1, 2, 3 receiver maybe and run. Foles sits there, waits a little bit, line gives him the time, and he makes those passes.
All right, well, that'll do it for our naughty and nice list. We'll move on to our Fast Five segment that we always have on Sports Talk Philadelphia. First question goes to Mark. Will Nick Foles be on our list next year, and why?
Yes, he will be on our list next year because he's going to be the starting quarterback going into training camp and going into the start of next season for the Eagles.
All righty. Tyler, a little bit of a non-sports question. What's your favorite holiday tradition?
Favorite holiday tradition? Just Christmas breakfast at my house. My house is big enough that we host my mom's side of the family for a nice Christmas breakfast. Everyone comes kind of in their ages, but we come just eat pancakes, talk about what gifts we got, just enjoy the time together during the holiday season.
It's beautiful. Now, Mark, NBA Christmas or NFL Thanksgiving? What's your favorite to watch?
I'm going to go with the NFL Thanksgiving. Lions, Cowboys always have good games, and they're always one after another. Even though I'm not too big of I'm much more of an NFL fan than NBA. People bet like Christmas, there's a lot more going on around you, and some of the teams sometimes are not so good. NFL is going out of their way to make sure that there's special awards and trophies, but they always make sure it's a good matchup.
All right, Tyler, who's going to have a brighter future in the city of Philadelphia? Steve Mason or Michael Carter-Williams?
I think it's going to be Michael Carter-Williams because we know he's going to be the future. Again, Steve Mason, while he's been playing well, he'll probably be extended by the team, but he's only on that one-year contract right now. So I think just looking towards the future, it's Michael Carter-Williams.
All right, and this question kind of goes to both of you. If all goes according to plan, that game against Dallas at Dallas after Christmas will be for the NFC East. What's your prediction for the game?
I'm going to say Eagles win 28-21 and go to the playoffs.
I'm going to go Eagles 32-21. Eagles going to playoff. It's not really going to be a close one. As history has shown, Romo and the Cowboys kind of choke in December.
All right, well, that'll do it for our holiday episode of Sports Talk Philadelphia. On behalf of all of us here at LaSalle TV, we want to wish you and your family a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you guys celebrate. It's been a pleasure doing this for the first semester. We will be back after the holiday break, but if you need to contact us in the meantime, you can reach us at lasalle.edu/LaSalleTV. You can email us, lasalletv@lasalle.edu, and we're also on all kinds of social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. For YouTube, keyword search Sports Talk Philadelphia, Facebook, Sports Talk Philadelphia as well. And on Twitter, my handle is AndrewJAlbert01. You can follow the Sports Talk Phila for support Dave Grzybowski. We love Dave. So on behalf of all of us here at LaSalle TV, happy holidays. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you after the break.